Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Okay, today we're going to be talking about adding fractions, and your objective for this video is, as a student, you should be able to accurately add fractions with unlike denominators. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Okay, what you're going to need is you're going to need graphic organizer number 1. We will be working on side 1, and make sure it says adding fractions and with unlike denominators. So it's going to be adding fractions with unlike denominators. Go ahead and continue. So here are some steps, okay? These 4 steps you need to be writing down in your graphic organizer, okay? So, step number 1, you need to find the least common denominator of the fractions. Step 2, you need to rename the fractions using the least common denominator. Step 3, you need to add the numerators, and the denominator will remain the same. And 4, you simplify or convert to mixed numbers if necessary. So we're going to go ahead and show this process. The first thing you got to do, remember, is find the least common denominator of the fractions. So here we have our first example. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we need to find the least common denominator is that we cannot add or subtract fractions without a common denominator. So that's the first thing. And I'm going to show you how I like to see these things. They need to be nice and neat. So number 1, okay, we're going to go ahead and write them straight up and down, which is 3/9 plus 7 over 15. Now, I also need to find a least common denominator. So I need to take those 2 denominators, which is 9 and 15, and I need to make a list until I find the least common multiple of those 2 things. So I have 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, and the next one would be 54. I think I have enough, so I'm going to move on. 15, 30, 45, and look right there, I do have a common denominator. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change my 3/9 to be something over 45 and my 7/15 to be something over 45. So I'm going to go ahead and go back down and do that. So we're going to go ahead and put it over 45 because that's the denominator we're going to use. Okay, and how does 9 become 45? Well, times 5. I know that because if I walked back over to the other side where I did my multiples, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I can always check myself. Okay? Now, so if 9 times 5 is 45, I also must do the same thing to the top number, or my numerator, which would be 3 times 5, which is 15. Okay? How does 15 become 45? Well, you multiply by 3. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing to the top. 7 times 3 gives us 21. So now we have 15 45ths plus 21 45ths, and now we simply add. So 15 plus 21 will give us 36 over 45. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add. We're going to get 36 over 45. Now, I also have to always make sure that I can simplify it, or that it is simplified, or if it needs to be changed to a mixed number. Unfortunately, this one is not simplified. I know that because those numbers are not prime. Okay, so I'm going to have 36 and 65 or 45, and I'm going to put those in my birthday cake. And I know that 3 goes into them. 3 goes into 36 12 times and goes into 45 15 times. I also know 3 goes into 12 and 15, 4 and 5. So if I simplified that, my answer at the end is 4/5. I need to make sure I circle my answer. Okay, that's all you do. That's example number 1. Let's move on to example number 2. Example number 2. Make sure you're writing these ones in on your graphic organizer. Here we go. 6 and 8. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and write them straight up and down. Okay, we're going to find the least common denominator. So we've got 6 and we have 8. 6, 12, 18, 24, and I'm going to stop because I think 24 works. Let me double check. 8, 16, 24. Yep, 24 is it. So my new denominator is going to be 24, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Okay, both of them are going to be over 24. How does 6 become 24? Well, we multiply by 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. Now, it talks about the rule. Whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. That's what we're doing right now. We're following that rule. 8 times 3 gives us 24. If you follow the rule, you must do the same thing to the numerator. 2 times 3 is 6. So now we have 16 24ths and 6 24ths. We have a common denominator, so we are able to add them together. So 16 plus 6 is 22 over 24. Now, unfortunately, we have to simplify those as well because they're both even numbers. So what goes into both even numbers? Well, that would be a 2. 2 goes into 22 11 times, and it goes into 24 12 times. I know I am done because those are consecutive numbers, so my answer should be 11 twelfths. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Example number 3, we have 5/8 and we have 3/4. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Write them straight up and down. We're going to add 3/4. Okay, we need to come with a common denominator. I actually think this one's really easy. We have 8, so we have 8 and 16. Let's try 4. 4 and 8, and look at that, it's 8. That's a good one. Okay, so our common denominator is going to be over 8, and this one's over 8. How does 8 become 8? Well, it already is 8, or you multiply by 1. Either way, it's the same exact thing, so the 5 stays the same. It's going to be 5. How does 4 become 8? Well, you multiply by 2. Do the same thing to the numerator. 3 times 2 is 6. 5/8 plus 6/8, if you add those together, you get 11/8. Now, this one is improper. So what do you need to do to fix it? Well, you need to divide it. So the 11 is the top number, so it goes inside the box. 8 goes into 11 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. You subtract, and you get 3 left over. That 3 becomes the numerator, so we have 1. Our whole number, and 3 is our numerator, 8 is our denominator, and you get 1 3/8. We're going to move a little bit faster now. We have number 4. This time, you should have gotten, add them up, 3/8, and we're going to add 3/16. Okay, same thing, we need to find a common denominator. I'm going to tell you, we're not going to list this one out. If you did, you would get 16. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put 16. How does 8 become 16? Multiply by 2. How does 3 become 16? Multiply by, what do you do to 3? You multiply it by 2, which would be 6. How does 16 become 16? It already is, so we keep them the same. 6/16 plus 3/16 is 9/16. Now, those are not prime, but we need to see, does anything go into both of them? 2 does not work. 3 does not work. 4 doesn't work. 5 doesn't work. 6 doesn't work. 7 doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. And 9 doesn't work, so we're done. That's it. I know 9, yeah, we're done. So there you go. So ladies and gentlemen, I've shown you 3. I'd like you to do these 3 as independent practice on your worksheet. You can pause the video. When we come back, we will give you the answers. I want you to pause the video now. Go ahead, pause the video now. All right, and I am back, and I'm going to go very quickly through these. So if you get these wrong, you're going to need some help. You need to come see Mr. Williams for a workshop. So you should have had 7/8 plus 2/4. It would have been 7/8. Plus 4/8, our common denominator was 4. It gives you 11/8, which is equal to 1 3/8. So you should have gotten 1 3/8. Okay, next one, 7/11, straight up and down, 15/55. Common denominator is 55, so we're going to go ahead and put that there. How does 11 become 55? You multiply by 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Okay, go ahead and over here, it's already 55, so you keep it the same. 35 plus 15 is 50. So 50/55, unfortunately, is not simplified. If you put it in the birthday cake, though, 5 goes into both of them, and that equals 10/11, and that's your answer. You should have 10/11. Now, I'm running out of room, so I have my third one here. I'm going to do it next to the side. 11/20 plus 15/40. Okay, common denominator, if you would have done this one, should have been 40. Okay, so you should have been 22/40 plus 15/40, which gives you, if you add them together, 37/40. Now, guess what? 37 is a prime number. It does not go into 40 evenly. Our answer is 37/40, and you would be done. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now is your exit ticket time. You will need to show Mr. Williams these 3 problems. It is very important that you show Mr. Williams these 3. Okay, you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. You need to see Mr. Williams at all times with these exit tickets. When you are done, enjoy your worksheet, but if you need some help, ask for a workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out.